This is witchcraft. Ba Weeb Grind On Weeb Ninny on YouTube, RedWhiteandBluestreak here, and Lucky Cat's ET02 Redder. Wait. Redder? Seriously? That's gotta be like the worst third-party Optimus Prime name I've ever heard. No offense, Lucky Cat. Let's see, I've got a better one. Here, hold on, let's try. Lucky Cat's ET02 colon is more than meets the eye. See what I did there? For the second figure for this edition of Prime Month, and the first Optimus Prime figure that we're looking at for this event, we're taking a look at another Legend Scale figure, this being Lucky Cat's interpretation of a Legend Scale Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime. Now, we've already gone over this version of Optimus Prime before on the channel. Check out that Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime video. He's a lot more...
You must protect the planet.
And a lot less...
I'll kill you!
But this one is based on his appearance in the Bumblebee movie. All 30 seconds of it. Crazy how much we love this blue and red trucker, isn't it? Like I said when reviewing Mechanical Skull Studios' Sirius, it's amazing seeing the directions the Legends market is starting to branch off into. Unicron Trilogy and Beast Wars toys are definitely something you'd imagine to be doable, but there needs to be some ritualistic sacrifices at play for them to be able to pull off something like this. Or at the very least, someone with at least a little more passion and effort than the toy designers at Hasbro. Yeah, I said it, what of it? Cullen's packaging is pretty basic by most standards. Just a couple of renders of the figure with the entire thing in the shade of red. And thank God for YouTube video coverage. The robot mode is truly a sight to behold. Spoilers, but I honestly think this figure is leagues better than figures like Magnificent Mecha's Optimus Prime, or of course MPM-12 for many reasons that we'll get into as the review goes on. For one, this figure, like Magnificent Mecha, is the spitting image of that animation model used in the movie, which would be impressive enough on its own, but this figure also transforms, and is about the size of a travel-size hand sanitizer bottle. The paint they used on this figure is just about perfect too, though I'll admit, I do wish the eyes were a little bit brighter. It'd make him feel a bit more alive than he already does, but other than that, there are no real complaints here from me. Bearing in mind that this figure transforms, he cleans up very nicely. The back is beyond clean, the arms are far cleaner than any official representation of this character, outside of 3-0, even the Rise of the Beast figures, and it feels absolutely solid to boot. I can't quite describe it the way I want to, but this figure is much more dense than just about any Legends figure I own, even the Jetfire figures. Which is helped in part by small bits of die-cast metal used in the legs and feet of the figure to help the stability and the transformation, some of which can be seen as you pose the figure, and believe me, he is a joy to pose. So, funny thing, for the first few months when I had this figure, I thought that the arm articulation was pretty limited when it came to the elbow, seeing as how it could only bend to 90 degrees. But what I didn't know was that you could extend the arm and get a beyond 90-degree bend at the elbow, so joke's on me, I guess. Though I do wish we had a butterfly joint here, though I understand that there probably weren't enough virgins to toss into the volcano to forge this figure with everything else that this figure can pull off, so I think I can overlook that. It's amazing to me that Lucky Cat did the same thing Toy World and Magnificent Mecha did, with not only including an ab crunch, but hidden spinal column detail when bending him at the chest. It's always a nice touch. Speaking of nice touches, you should see the amount of detail packed into the small amount of accessories here. We'll get to the most insane detail in a moment, but let's start with the variety of nicely sculpted hands we have here. Out of the box, he has these fists, but he also has a set of open hands, handshake hands, or reaching out hands depending on how you interpret them, and a set of pointing hands. There aren't many hands here and there aren't hinges for the open hands, but each set is nicely sculpted, and of course adds a lot to the expressiveness of the figure. Cullen also has a matrix of leadership, which is fully removable. Not a lot of sculpted detail on the actual chamber, and the matrix itself is only detailed on one side, but it's fantastic that they even included this. The major third-party MP-scale Bumblebee movie primes don't even have this feature unless you purchase an upgrade kit in Magnificent Mecha's case. And even then, that removes the ability to transform with the chamber in there, so kudos to Lucky Cat for going the extra mile here. Though that's not the only place they went above and beyond. The most impressive accessory here is the Ion Blaster. The gun itself is highly detailed for something so small, but besides that, and besides looking great holding it, the magazine is removable. Completely unnecessary detail, but an appreciated one nonetheless. Despite there not being many accessories compared to other Legend Scale primes we've looked at, and will look at in the future, Lucky Cat clearly brought their A game with the ones they did include. Though let's be real, the same can be said for the alt mode of this figure as well. Truck mode is absolutely beautiful. It blows the likes of Studio Series and MPM-12 out of the water, and stands proud alongside Toy World and Magnificent Mecha's figures. The journey to get here is a tad bit rocky though. Don't get me wrong, it's not the most unpleasant thing in the world for those kinds of transformations. We've already seen that. And the borrowed bits from Studio Series figures are not at all bothersome. But some of the steps taken and all the smaller fiddly bits make this a tad bit overcomplicated for the scale, and a bit of a chore to try to film it. It's a lot more pleasant off camera, trust me. But we can't argue with results! Just look at this thing. Everything cleans up and tucks away very nicely, especially the truck bed. I can hardly believe this was pulled off at this scale. And for anyone that complains about the matrix chamber being visible, get over it. It's amazing enough that this was pulled off at this scale without taking the compromises that companies like Metagate had to. Only thing I can hope for is that Lucky Cat makes a trailer to go with this guy to recreate the scene from the end of the movie, and maybe another version of Bumblebee to go with it. I think it's easy to tell that Lucky Cat has absolutely blown me away. Every trick and technique they used here to be able to create such a solid and movie-accurate transforming Legend Scale figure here absolutely pays off. Though some minor irks and shortcomings hold this little guy back from absolute perfection. 4.5 out of 5 is going to be my final score for the figure, and though I didn't give him the full 5 out of 5, and though he has those little tiny irks present, that's not going to stop me from buying the other repaints of the figure.